How's it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with college football week 2 preview / predictions. And this video definitely isn't going to be an hour like last week's episode. Don't know why it was so long. The lower tier games, I'm just going to run through and be more in depth on the big games because that's what you guys want. So that'll take a lot less time and make it a lot easier for you guys to see all the predictions. So let's get started Thursday. Florida Atlantic versus East Carolina. East Carolina will win. Easy. Their offense is going to run over Florida Atlantic, and I'll say 42-21 Eastern Carolina over Florida Atlantic. Arizona State and Sacramento State. Definitely no problem for Arizona State. Actually, the first game of the season won't be any problem. Arizona State will win this game 42-17. Moving on to Friday. Much like the Vanderbilt and Ole Miss game, these are two teams from two different divisions in the ACC, which I believe could be dark horses to a point, not necessarily to win the divisions and win the conference, but to win or to upset a couple teams in the ACC and be challengers, which is Wake Forest and Boston College. And it sucks they play each other so early in the season, but I think Boston College playing at home will get the victory. It'll be very close. Both teams pretty evenly matched, but I think the home field advantage and Boston College defense, which I think is better than they performed last week. Villanova played very well early on, and Boston College got more accustomed to it. Kevin Pierre-Louis is one of the best linebackers on college football. I mean, Boston College is always known for that one linebacker that's one of the best in the country, and they have that this year in Kevin Pierre-Louis. On the other side, Wake Forest, good players. Josh Harris, running back. Tanner Price, the quarterback. He seems like he's been there forever. Michael Caponera. They have playmakers as well, so this will be a very close game. I'm going to go BC 27, Wake Forest 24. Central Florida versus Florida International. UCF is might be a dark horse to they might be have the best chance aside from Cincinnati to knock off Louisville, and that's gonna be hard, but they're very, very talented. I'm not sure if they play Louisville though. They might be the team that gets no, they are not the team. There's one, I think it might be Connecticut that gets away without playing Louisville in the conference, but UCF is a tricky team, and they very, very good, but they should have no problem for International. Brian Boyles is a great quarterback. I'm going to go UCF. UCF 37, Florida International 17. That was it. So moving on to Saturday, Kentucky versus Miami, Ohio. Kentucky lost to Western Kentucky for the second straight year. But Western Kentucky, though, they're a good team, I mean, especially with Bobby Petrino at head coach. So that really didn't surprise me. Kentucky will get better over time. Their recruiting is going to be a lot better under Mark Stoops. And Miami, Ohio is not good, especially not as good as they were last year. Zach Dysart's gone to the NFL, so Kentucky, I think, will win this one and pull it. Close, though. I'm going to go 27-21 Kentucky over Miami, Ohio. Oh, good God. Louisville versus Eastern Kentucky. We saw what Louisville did today to Ohio, and it'll be the same exact thing to Eastern Kentucky, if not worse. I'll go 56-7. Louisville over Eastern Kentucky. South Florida versus Michigan State. South Florida really let me down because I had them as a dark horse in the AAC. Well, not really a dark horse. I always throw around the term dark horse, sometimes when I don't mean to. But I had them finishing like 3rd or 4th in the AAC preseason, and everybody was calling me crazy for it, and I understand why now. I thought they were going to be a lot better than they showed up. I mean, they could get better, but oh my God, when you give 50 points at McNeese State, that was awful. And Michigan State's offense played pretty poor first game against Western Michigan, but their defense is good. And you combine that, they're going to blow out South Florida. I hate to say that because I think I've mentioned this about every time I talk about South Florida, but I have a good friend that plays for South Florida. And I hate to say this, but they're going to get blown out by Michigan State. I'm gonna go 31-3. 31-7 over South Florida. Rutgers versus Norfolk State. We all know Rutgers beating an overtime thriller against Fresno State, which I predicted. Got that upset right. I actually had a bad week predicting last week. A lot of teams let me down, but no problem against Norfolk State. I'll go Rutgers 35, Norfolk State 10. Penn State versus Eastern Michigan. No problem with here. Penn State played very well. Christian Hackenberg played a lot better than I thought he would in the first game. I mean, I thought he was going to be better, really good over time, but he played a lot better week 1 than I expected against Syracuse, but they should win no problem. 35 to 7 over Eastern. Did I just say that? I don't know, but whatever. Houston versus Temple. Close game. I have a feeling Temple actually fared quite well against Notre Dame. They lose 28 to 6, not the 30+ point loss I thought they were gonna lose by, but it should have been 7, but their kicker missed the extra point. But they moved the ball okay. Defense did all right, but Houston blew Southern out of the water, which was expected. They play Southern, just Southern. So a hard game, but I'm gonna go Houston. Houston 31, Temple 24. This one. Wisconsin, Tennessee Tech. Enough said. Wisconsin very, very good. We all know that. Wisconsin, 45. Tennessee Tech 3. Cincinnati versus Illinois. Illinois barely came out of last week undefeated or without the loss. They beat in-state rival I believe it was Eastern Illinois. Was it 42 to 34? And Cincinnati, man, they showed out. They showed like they're gonna be the team that has a chance to beat Louisville in the AAC. And that's crazy because that's gonna be the last week of the season. And potentially these two teams could be Cincinnati and Louisville could be ranked very high for that last game of the season. And I want to look at Cincinnati's schedule really quick. They might be, just based on their performance, they might be ranked in the top 25 going into next week. But they, just like Louisville, do not have a tough schedule whatsoever. But with that said, Cincinnati should have no trouble in this game. Illinois, their defense is just not good. And I'm going to go Cincinnati easy, 42 to 21 over Illinois. Iowa versus Missouri State. Iowa. I got this upset. I don't know if you really consider it an upset, but I picked Northern Illinois over Iowa. Got that right. But I'm going to go Iowa over Missouri State easy. Let's go 42 to 10. Kent State versus Bowling Green. Okay. This could be a tough game. Actually, a good game if there's not anything else to watch on. Two actually very good teams. Kent State did struggle last week. They played an FCS opponent. I believe it was Liberty, and they won by a touchdown, I believe. They struggled mightily. But they're better than that. Dree Archer, their other featured back, who ran for 1,000 yards last year, along with Travion Durham, was out of that game. Not sure if he's going to be healthy for this game, but Bowling Green blew Tulsa out of the water, and I had Tulsa picked in that game, and Bowling Green just surprised me. And I don't think Kent State can hang with Bowling Green. I could be proven wrong, but I'm gonna go Bowling Green. I'm gonna go Bowling Green 31, Kent State 28 in a close one. Ooh man. First let's go with this. Make this easier real quick. Let's go ahead and predict some of these easy games real quick before I get to this tough one. I'm at the top of my screen here. Purdue over Indiana State. Even though Indiana State did put some points on Indiana, and Purdue was blown out by Cincinnati, but I think it'll be close, a 10-point game, but I go Purdue 30, Indiana State 20. TCU over Southeastern Louisiana. Even though Southeastern Louisiana tends to be a very, very dangerous team, but I'll go TCU 37, Southeastern Louisiana 10. And I'm gonna say this real quick. Let me get through these picks, and I'll say this real quick. Hopefully, I don't forget this thought in my head. Oklahoma State over Texas San Antonio. I know Oklahoma State didn't score as many points as they wanted to last week, but their defense compensated for that. They made Mississippi State's offense look terrible. But Oklahoma State easy over UTSA, 42 13. Tennessee, Western Kentucky. I think Butch Jones has Tennessee going in the right path. I really do. And Western Kentucky, heck, they're a tough opponent. You saw what they did to Kentucky last week. But I think Tennessee has enough to beat them. And I'll go close, 31-24 Tennessee over Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's a tough team. If Western Kentucky can get past this game, heck, that's two SEC teams that they potentially could beat. And they, look at their schedule, they could go on and heck, they might be ranked if they win this game. They could go on and be BCS buster. Keep that in mind. It's a long stretch, but keep that one in mind. They're a heck of a team, especially, and that Bobby Petrino hire will definitely get them nationally recognized just off the name. But like I said, Tennessee 31, Western Kentucky 24. North Carolina, easy win over Mid-Tennessee State. There could be a lot of points scored in this game. I'm going to go North Carolina 42, Middle Tennessee 27. Clemson over South Carolina State easily. 47-7. Ball State and Army. This could be a weird game, but I think Ball State should win. Wouldn't surprise me if Army won, though, but I'm going to go Ball State really slim. I go 27-24 Ball State with their good quarterback Keith winning over Army, and they should have no problem. Wow. I just definitely contradicted myself. I say some stupid things sometimes, especially at 1:15 in the morning. But to get what I was saying, it'll be close, and they will have a problem. Take back, I said they'll have no problem, because it'll be tough. They tend to struggle with Army, but on the back of Keith winning, they should pull it out. But to take back what I said, Army, it wouldn't surprise me if I saw Army win this game. But I go Ball State 27-24. Okay. And before I get to Florida Miami, which will be a heck of a game, a fun game to watch, I think this last week really proved what makes college football so special and so different from every other sport. Is the way lower level teams that nobody ever talks about, everybody just laughs at and considers a high school team, which is the most ignorant statement anybody can say. That's what makes college football so great, and that's what an idea of like the Power 5 conferences breaking away from NCAA and forming their own conference. That would completely ruin all of that, and I think college football is perfectly fine how it is, except with the way the NCAA and everything football and whole is becoming more scared of lawsuits and injuries and everything. That's kind of getting annoying how they change stuff every year. But as the sport as a whole, it's perfectly fine how it is. Keep playing the lower level teams, because there's not that there's a talent gap in between the teams, but there's a time when talent, motivation, and coaching overrides each other. And you're telling me a team like North Dakota State's a little bit more motivated than Kansas State to play them. And heck, North Dakota State, it probably definitely isn't as talented as Kansas State, but just off the pure motivation of playing a big level team, they win. That's what makes the sport great. And if you break away, you're just going to see the same matchups every week, and that's just stupid. And people are so ignorant when it comes to college football. Like, they'll just say, blah, blah, blah. They played, whatchamacallit? Oh, they're going to lose. They're a high school team. I hate that statement. And then they end up playing close or almost winning. And you just see that more and more every year. And that more and more every year, even though it keeps happening more and more, people just start to talk even more about breaking away or not playing these teams anymore, how it's stupid. But it's stupid because they can potentially lose. And that's my little rant for this video. Now let's get on to this game. So I had to think about this in the back of my mind for a minute. We have Florida versus Miami. And the most interesting thing to me in this game is the fact I really want to see how Miami's attendance will be in this game. I want to see if they can fill up against Florida, which might not happen, but I do expect them to be a lot more full than they usually are. It's usually pathetic. But Florida, they struggled to a point last week against Toledo, which was expected, but they didn't struggle as much as I expected. So I guess that's a plus for Florida. Their offense, I'm still not sold on. Their defense, Toledo moved the ball a bit, but once they got past the 50s, Florida couldn't do anything. Miami, they look mighty good, but it's so hard to tell about teams in week 1. I mean, it's so hard to judge teams from one game until other opponents play different opponents. So you can't really judge anything off of week 1, really. And there's some things you can, but a lot of things you can't. Like Miami's case, you can't really judge them against a team like Florida because they play Florida Atlantic week 1. And, I mean, they could have a great offense, but you can't really say that off of week 1. But in my assessment, I do think they have a really good offense. Duke Johnson, maybe the second best running back in the country right now behind Todd Gurley. Also, Stephen Morris, a very good quarterback. He's very accurate. Big arm. I think he has more of a stronger arm than he is accurate, but it has improved on his accuracy, and that could be a problem as we saw last Sugar Bowl. Teddy Bridgewater against Florida's secondary. When you got an accurate quarterback, he can make that secondary look pathetic. We'll just have to see on that. I'm not quite sure if I want to pull the trigger right now, so I'm gonna go with my gut feeling. I'm gonna go Florida, but I'm gonna go Florida extremely close. I'm gonna go 23-21 Florida over Miami. Very close game. Alright, I already talked about all these games. Virginia Tech, Western Carolina, Virginia Tech. Amazing defense. I knew they were going to have a good defense, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. They could compete in the ACC strictly off their defense. It was amazing. But that's another thing. You can't tell if that was Alabama's offensive line was just that bad, or if Virginia Tech's defense was amazing, or if it was a combination of the two, or what. But I think it was a little bit of both, but I think Virginia Tech still, their defensive line is in front. Their whole defense, the Fuller brothers were amazing, and this is not counting how many injuries they had. Their offense will improve over time solely, and plus they'll get guys back off of injuries and such, which will make them even better. And then one of the better corners, Antoine Exum, is still injured, and I'm not sure if he's up for the season or what, but they'll get some guys back off of injuries and they'll be even better. So that I believe they can compete for the ACC. Just strictly off their defense, and that's not considering their offense getting any better. But they won't face them in their defense like Alabama the rest of the season. But with that said, I gotta stop saying stuff like that. That's what makes these videos really fast. But Virginia Tech 35, Western Carolina nothing. Massachusetts and Maine. Is this a rivalry of some sort? It has to be. It has to be. But I'm gonna go UMass 21, Maine 17. Utah over Weber State, easy, 38-10. Georgia State against Chattanooga. I got this pick right too. I've had Samford over Georgia State last week, and they won by 10. So I'm gonna go Chattanooga again because Georgia State is as horrible as it gets. I believe the worst FBS team in history. The worst team to ever be considered an FBS team. I know this is their first year, but they are horrible. But I'll go Chattanooga 24, Georgia State 21. Boise State against Tennessee Martin, and Boise State did not fare well against Washington. I believe I picked Washington too, and I think Washington is going to take Oregon State's spot in my preseason Pac-12 predictions. Oregon State, what did I say? But Oregon State, wow, they made me look like an idiot. I went on a far stretch and said Oregon State finishes second in the Pac-12 North over Stanford. You see how much of an idiot that makes me look like? It had Oregon State, who lost to Eastern Washington, over Stanford. But granted, Eastern Washington's a heck of a team. If you watch that, you would tell their offense is amazing. But that makes me look stupid, makes me lose all credibility right there. But Washington, they looked really good, and they could compete. They could upset a team like Oregon or Stanford. But how did I get on that topic? Boise State, easy, 42-7 over Tennessee Martin.
That's the hardest part about these videos is thinking of a score off the top of your head. You can know what team you're going to pick, but thinking of a score is so hard. It really is. Anyways, Central Michigan over New Hampshire. Central Michigan blown out by Michigan last week. Way more than I thought, but I'm going to go Central Michigan 35, New Hampshire 20. Ooh, this is a tough one. Potential upset alert here, but I'm not going to pull the trigger. I pulled the trigger too many times last week, and they failed me one time. I'm not going to count on them again, but I'm going to go Missouri. Missouri and Toledo, close. Missouri 27, Toledo 20 in this one. Missouri actually was struggling with Murray State last week in the first half, and then they came out of, I don't know where they came from in the second half and scored like 50-something points. And Toledo, they have a dangerous offense, but Florida's defense did contain them quite well last week to a point, but they'll score more points against Missouri, but Missouri, I believe, will pull out with the victory 27-20. San Diego State versus Ohio State. San Diego State, I had high expectations coming into the season for them, and wow, they were obliterated last week. I can't even remember who it was. It was an FCS opponent. What was it, like 39-14? I can tell you really quick if you give me a second here. It was Eastern Illinois. And who was it that Illinois? It must have been. It was Southern Illinois, not Eastern Illinois. That Illinois played. I think I said Eastern earlier. They were beat 40-19 against Eastern Illinois. That is horrible. I mean, I'm telling you, the gap is just getting closer and closer. I mean, better coaching as football evolves. I mean, there's no need to break away. It just will ruin the sport more than it's already been ruined. But Ohio State, I know they struggled with Buffalo last week, but San Diego State, wow, don't know what happened to them, but Ohio State 52, San Diego State 17. Baylor, just thus mentioned Buffalo. Baylor, they handled business. One of the few teams that actually handled business as expected week 1. And it was against Wofford, but still, they have an amazing offense. They're up and coming. They'll have a new stadium next year, so they're here to stay. They really are. I think the RG3, 2 seasons span of RG3 really have evolved their program and brought them out of the depths, and they're here to stay with the talent that they get, the coach that they have, Art Briles. Facilities that's been upgraded based on the income from RG3 and the way they've been doing the last couple of years. Recruiting's got better, so they're here to stay, I believe, and they'll score God knows how many points. But I'm gonna go Baylor 52, Buffalo. Their defense was prone, so I'll give Buffalo 27. Oregon versus Virginia. Okay, this is gonna be a fun game. Virginia surprised me last week, beating BYU, but that was such a weird game. There was like a 3-4 hour delay. So, but still, they did beat BYU. Props to them. Oregon, they scored 60-something points in Nicholls State, which was expected. But it is going to be interesting to see. I think Virginia's defense is pretty good, but they're not good enough to hold Oregon to however many points that they want to be held to. But I still think Oregon scores 40+, but I think they could be closer than people think. So the line will probably be like 28 points, but I'm gonna go like a 20 point victory. I go Oregon 42, Virginia 21. I'll give them a 21-point victory, and some people are probably saying 4 touchdowns or more. But they'll stay in there the first half, but Oregon will pull away in the second half. Too much firepower on offense. Mississippi State versus Alcorn State. Mississippi State will score more than 3 points this week, and I'll say they win 34-7 over Alcorn State. Utah State, they disappointed me week 1. I thought they were a potential BCS buster, but they lost by 3 points to Utah. I had them over Utah, but they lost. But Chucky Keaton still had a great game, and Air Force struggled week 1 against the FCS opponent. I think it was Colgate, but I'll go Utah State easy 3-touchdown victory. I'll go 38-17 over Air Force.
My South Alabama Jaguars versus Tulane. We lost to Southern Utah last week. We cannot settle with the quarterback. When one quarterback got hot, we bring in the other one, and he get hot, and bring in the other one, and he get cold, and stay cold, and they not bring him in. I mean, it was stupid. And we could not stop the run. Tulane has a pretty good run game. Nick Montana's their quarterback, son of Joe Montana. That's just not flying with me. It made me look really stupid because I had this huge article, preseason predictions for South Alabama's paper, and put it in the paper. I wrote it for the paper, and I think I had them going 5-6, and Tulane was the game I had them winning. But I had such a different perception of the team. I thought they were going to be so different from a year ago. So much experience coming back, and they lose to Southern Utah week 1, and they looked horrible. Southern Utah is horrible. There's terrible South Alabama, 50 feet of crap in Southern Utah, and Southern Utah wins. So it was on the last second field goal by a point, but still, Tulane will win, and it'll make me look even more stupid. But until they prove me otherwise, I gotta have them losing in this game. Tulane 27, South Alabama 20. Old Dominion versus Maryland. Old Dominion, they put up a fight last week. I thought they were, and they did. Taylor Heineke's a great quarterback, and he even proved that more yesterday. Heineke's got a really good game against Eastern Carolina. I think he threw for 300, 400 yards, and he threw for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 or 4 touchdowns. They'll put up some points versus Maryland, but their defense still is not where they need to be. But whenever they get to this USA, they should be good. It does suck, though, because the first year they'll be bowl eligible, Taylor Heineke is going to be gone because he'll be graduated. That sucks because he's an amazing quarterback. But Maryland will win this game. Closer than people think, but I'll go Maryland 42, Old Dominion 40. No, Maryland 42, Old Dominion 30. 30. Yeah, we'll go 30. Why is okay, never mind, that makes sense. I was about to say, why is game day at Notre Dame and Michigan and not South Carolina, Georgia? That's the higher ranked game, but they just were at Georgia last week, so I guess that can make sense right there. Idaho, Wyoming. Wyoming almost beat Nebraska. Idaho was blown out last week by, who was it? It wasn't your good team, definitely. It was North Texas, 40-6. Idaho is about on Georgia State's level right now. But Wyoming will win this game probably by more than North Texas did. I'll go 45-10. Wyoming over Idaho. Cal over Portland State. Cal looked really good. I was just watching the replay again of Northwestern. Cal looked better than I thought they were. Sonny Dykes has to move in the right direction, but I'll go Cal 38-7. Memphis and Duke. Duke should take care of Memphis. Memphis probably going to be it's hard to say now because South Florida, wow, I don't know where that came from. Obliterated. But Memphis might be the worst team in the AAC, and Duke should have no problem. Duke's getting a lot better now. They went to a bowl game last year. David Cutcliffe has to move in the right direction. They'll win this game by 20. Go Duke 40, Memphis 20. Navy versus Indiana. Indiana gave up a ton of points to Indiana State. They scored a ton of points against Indiana State. And Navy, this is their first game of the year, so they're kind of unknown, but we know what they're going to do. They'll score points. They'll score points against Indiana's defense, which is not good, but Indiana will outscore them 45-34 over Navy. North Carolina State over Richmond, easy. Go North Carolina State 35, Richmond 20. Nebraska and Southern Miss. Southern Miss is another team that upset me and disappointed me last week. Had them beating Texas State, and I thought they were going to get better, but they lost. Made me look stupid again, but Nebraska will take care of Southern Miss. They'll get on track. Southern Miss won't score 35 points against Nebraska like Wyoming did, but Nebraska
I mean, Southern Miss's defense is not the problem; it's their offense. But Nebraska still has a really good offense. But I'll go Nebraska 42, Southern Miss 13. Okay, Northwestern versus Syracuse. Syracuse hung in there with Penn State. I thought they were gonna, and they did. Drew Allen, the quarterback transfer from Oklahoma, played pretty well actually. He has a big arm, and he's a drop off from Ryan Nassau, but still, I think not that big of a drop off than some people thought. I'm so tired, guys. I apologize. For Northwestern, they're a heck of a team, and hopefully Ken Coulter would be ready by this game. He was injured last week. He was out of the game, but I think he should be back. And even if it wasn't, their second string played good against Cal, led them to victory, obviously. But Northwestern, a heck of a team, and they have a good chance to. They have a tough schedule, but they have a pretty good chance to upset an Ohio State or a Wisconsin or a Michigan or whoever they end up playing. I know they play Ohio State after a couple games in the next couple weeks. But they should have no problem with Syracuse. I have them winning by 3 touchdowns. 38. Let's go 38. 38-20 over Syracuse. And I tried delaying this game for a minute to get my thoughts together, but South Carolina versus Georgia. Georgia's defense. I called that game Clemson over Georgia. Actually have some credibility. But Georgia's defense was exactly what I expected them to be. Did not play well. They played okay at times. Pass rush was a lot better than I thought. Their secondary back seven not as good as as good as I thought, because I didn't think they were going to be good, especially as a whole. So I'm not really sold on Georgia. Offense, I mean, obviously Todd Gurley and company. Aaron Murray is very good. Their line, though, was lackluster. The left tackle is going to get obliterated by Jadeveon Clowney, and that's definitely the matchup to watch. And I don't think that it was such a big deal that Jadeveon Clowney was getting so tired last week because it came out that he had a stomach virus. So, I mean, anybody, so go try playing football with a stomach virus, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get winded and need to take some breaks as well. So I have South Carolina. I think they'll win this game pretty easily. I'll go by 13 points. Davion Clowney will create. He'll be the difference in the game, based on the sole fact that he'll get in the backfield so many times, and to be able to get any offense going, Georgia will have to run the ball, and since they won't be able to pass the ball that well, they'll be able to crowd the box. South Carolina and their run game will not excel like it did last week versus Clemson. So I'm going to go South Carolina. South Carolina 30, Georgia 17. And I'm sorry, what's the dude's name? Guy watching videos, Alan Clanton. I apologize for picking against your Bulldogs 2 straight weeks, but this was just, I mean, nothing against the offense, but their defense just wasn't. I didn't expect them to be good this season. And they'll gel together over time, but that's not a good thing, having a really inexperienced defense coming back when you play 2 top 10 teams in the first 2 weeks. So no hate against Georgia. That's just my opinion. James Madison over Akron. Upset pick here. FCS over FBS again. James Madison 35. Akron I'll go 24. Marshall over Gardner Webb easy. They'll score 1,000 points. 45-24 over Gardner Webb. Louisiana Lafayette versus Kansas State. We all know Kansas State lost last week to North Dakota State. Louisiana Lafayette, I think, is better than North Dakota State talent-wise, but I'm not sure that they're better than them as a team. There's a difference being good as a team, being good talent-wise, etc., etc. I think Kansas State will get it together, and they'll beat Louisiana Lafayette. It'll be close, because watch out, Louisiana Lafayette's a good team. They didn't. I don't know if I pulled the prediction or pulled the trigger for them to beat Arkansas last week, but I said it was going to be close. Arkansas played better than I thought, so props to them. I'm actually just about to predict their game in a second, but still, they're a good team. Louisiana Lafayette is, and they'll give Kansas State all the fight in the world, but I'll go Kansas State 31, Louisiana Lafayette 20.
23. Arkansas over Stanford, easy. Arkansas 37, Stanford. Arkansas 42, Stanford 13. LSU over UAB, easy. LSU 31, UAB 10. Ole Miss over Southeastern Missouri State, which is not a bad team, but Ole Miss easy. Just like these other games, Ole Miss easy peasy. 45 to 17. Ohio North Texas. Ohio was obliterated today against Teddy Bridgewater in Louisville, but I think they'll come back and they'll beat North Texas. North Texas, though, they're getting better. They could compete in their first year as a Conference USA member. They have a lot of experience coming back, but Ohio will hold on and win. Tyler Taylorton won't let them lose 2 in a row, and they'll win very close. But I got them winning 31-28. Oklahoma versus West Virginia. Okay, this is tough because West Virginia, their offense played poorly, extremely poor against William & Mary. Had them scoring 50+ points in that game, and they only scored 24, and they almost lost. They won like by a touchdown. And Oklahoma's offense played pretty poor as well against Louisiana Monroe. I thought that game was going to be closer, but Louisiana Monroe's offense couldn't do anything. Oklahoma's defense, though, is good, and I think that's what leads them to victory. If West Virginia's offense was a little bit better, I would have them winning, but their offense, I don't know what happened. They lost a ton of people, but still, in that Holgorsen system, they should be a lot better than what they are, no matter what players he plugs into there. But Oklahoma, off their defense, they'll win. And this will be a surprisingly low-scoring game, I believe. But I'll go Oklahoma 24, West Virginia 17. Tulsa and Colorado State. Colorado State battled with Colorado just a couple hours ago. Tulsa was obliterated by Bowling Green. Don't know what happened there. That's another game I got wrong. But I think Colorado State, they'll win. This is probably an upset pick. Tulsa's usually good. Cody Green's actually a very good quarterback, but Colorado State under the fighting McElwain, the running back's good. Quarterback is also impressive to me. He made some bad decisions, but he was accurate. But I'll go Colorado State in a close one, 27-24 over Tulsa. Oh God, Texas A&M versus Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State will put up some points. They can put up some points now. They're always one of the best in the FCS, but Johnny Manziel. Enough said. He's a beast on the field, but he's an idiot on the field too. But A&M, oh God, 48. Sam Houston State 21. Texas State over Prairie View A&M, 31-20. Kansas over South Dakota, 34-17. Louisiana Tech over Lamar, 24-10. Louisiana Monroe over Grambling State, 35-18. Texas Tech over SF Austin, 52-14. And here we go, tough game, BYU and Texas. This is actually at BYU, I believe. BYU also disappointed me. Wow, I just spit water everywhere. BYU disappointed me. I thought their defense was going to be able to hold Virginia under 2 touchdowns, and they didn't. Their offense actually played a lot poorer than I thought. And Texas' defense is actually pretty good. Texas was actually held in check first half against New Mexico State last week. They came out and scored. I think they eventually got over 50 against New Mexico State in the second half. But I think this is a low-scoring game, as it was last year, and it'll be again this year. And I think Texas pulls it out, but close, very close. BYU's defense is very good. No matter if they lost last week or not, I know their offense is poor. But I think it does come down to offense, because both defenses are really good. I don't think you can say one's better than the other, because they're both about on par. But I think Texas' offense is better, and that will get them the W. Even with it being in Provo, I'll go Texas. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I'll go Texas
Texas 17, BYU 14. Yep. All right. Troy over Savannah State, 34-24. Western Michigan over Nicholls State, 27-10. Vanderbilt over Austin Peay, 47-7. Colorado over Central Arkansas, 35-10. Minnesota over New Mexico State, 24-14. No, let's go 31-14. Oregon State over Hawaii, 35-14. Because Hawaii's quarterback was horrible last week. Horrible. If it wasn't that horrible, they could have been beating USC at halftime. He was just, wow, might have been the worst quarterback I've ever seen. Especially this year. He's been the worst quarterback by far that I've seen. Okay. So, Arkansas State and Auburn. This is going to be very close. A lot closer than people think. There's going to be a lot of points in this game. Washington State put up a fight last week. I think he matched up Arkansas State and Washington State. Arkansas State wins because Arkansas State, I believe, is the best team in the Sun Belt right now by far. When I did my initial predictions, like for the Sun Belt in April or May, I had Arkansas State fourth. Once I did my predictions for the paper, I got more in depth with Arkansas State, and I was surprised at how much talent they have. It is insane, absolutely insane, how much talent they have at Arkansas State. And they're going to put up some points against Auburn, and they could upset them, but I'm not going to go that far right now. But it'll be close, extremely close, 38-35, Auburn over Arkansas State. And if they lose, if Auburn loses, I told you, but I don't want to look like an idiot, want to upset or you know what? Oh man, this is hard. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. Auburn 38, Arkansas State 35. I'm not going that far. Getting embarrassed again. Oh man, I don't want to predict hard games. SMU over Montana State, easy. SMU 38, Montana State 21. UTEP over New Mexico, 31-20. Nevada over UC Davis, close, 42-35. Fresno State over Cal Poly, 45-27. Okay, let's do these games first, and we'll go with Notre Dame, Michigan last. USC over Washington. No. Washington State over USC. This is probably the biggest upset of the week. I have 31-27. Arizona. Okay, I need to talk about that. I can't just not say that. USC looked horrible last week. Their offense was horrible. Don't let those points. Will they end up scoring 30+ points against Hawaii? Don't let that surprise you. Hawaii's offense was horrible and gave USC amazing field position just about every single drive. Hawaii was winning that, or USC was winning. No, Hawaii was winning that game one time, 5-3, I think. I tweeted something kind of funny. I said Hawaii hits a 3-run home run to take the lead, 5-3 over USC. I thought that was funny. But anyways, Washington State was surprisingly pretty competitive against Auburn. I think Auburn against USC, Auburn would win. Washington State will surprise USC, I think, and win this game at night. And this could be the game to set the Lane Kiffin hot seat on fire. But USC, not good once again this year. I was not impressed at all by what I saw against Hawaii. Offense just in disarray. The quarterbacks couldn't do anything. Offensive line not good. Not any depth on defense. They're just lucky. The quarterback at Hawaii was horrible. It's so crazy how you have a 6-year difference of Colt Brennan and what they have now. That's just I don't even want to talk about that. Makes me mad. But Washington State, they upset 31-27. Arizona over UNLV, easy, 42-10, 42-14. Stanford over San Jose State, closer than the experts think, closer. But I don't know. I know San Jose State has a great quarterback, but is he enough to make it a closer game? No, he's not. But he'll play good, but he doesn't have a lot of help around him, especially in the trenches. He has a couple really good wide receivers, actually. Austin Franklin, is that? No, that's not his name. They have good wide receivers. Sorry, I can't think of San Jose State's receivers off the top of my head. But David Fales is a good quarterback. Stanford did not have a game last week. I want to see who San Jose State played. I know they did pretty good. They beat Sacramento State 24-0, which is an odd score. How did David Fales do? We went 220. Just give me some time. I'm making time for you. You can make time for me. Went 16 of 32, 2 touchdowns. Okay, that was Jones and Noel Grisby. That's their names. 2 good receivers. Okay. I think they'll get beat in the trenches, but they'll keep it close for a quarter or quarter and a half, 2 quarters. But Stanford, their depth, their defense will pull away in the second half. Quarterback situation that Stanford's been as good as it's ever been. The quarterback there now, why can't I think of his name? Wow, it's 150. Forgive me, but Stanford win, 42-14. I can see the score being something like 21-14 in the first half, but they'll pull away late. Okay, and last game. Let me take a sip of water and compile my thoughts for this game. Notre Dame versus Michigan in the Big House. Michigan is going to be looking for revenge. Michigan played lights out week 1 against Central Michigan. Their offense, it's unheard of really to see a Big Ten offense score 50 plus points in a game, and that happened twice last week with Ohio State and Michigan. Well, actually more than that. Indiana scored 1,000,000 points, and just forget what I just said there. But their offense is much improved. I know Denard Robinson was the spark of that team, but I think they're better off without him going forward and to take the next step. He had them coach for a few years, played great, was the spark of their team, but like I said, moving forward, that's a better thing for him to evolve the offense, and Devin Gardner, I believe, is the answer. And the defense, I believe, is going to be improved. That's been the weakest link of their team, is the defensive side of the football in the past couple of years. But I think the recruiting classes have helped the overall depth and skill on the defensive side of the football, along with the offensive side of the football. They have a lot of good players coming in as freshmen. Now looking at Notre Dame, defense, once again, is going to be stout this season. I think Tommy Rees is going to be a lot better than people think. I know it was a big blow that Everett Golson was gone, but I think it's pretty good to have your quarterback get hurt and you have a guy like Tommy Rees there waiting in the range to take over a senior leader. I'm about to fall here, but he played very well. I think he threw 3-4 touchdowns last game. Run game, not really sold on right now for Notre Dame. Wide receivers, the skilled players though have more overall talent, especially at the wide receiver position than in years past. But running back, I'm not too sure of. I have to see how Greg Bryant can do over time, and we know Theo Riddick is, I'd say, from average to above average back. Nothing too crazy there, but like I said, defense is stout, great secondary, great young linebacking core. I'm really excited to see Jalon Smith in this game. Louis Nix is one of my favorite players in football. A great run stopper in the middle. Shaq Rowland plays for Washington. No, he plays for South Carolina. Why did I say his name? I'm trying to think of the other linebacker's name for Notre Dame that was underrated last year alongside Manti Te'o. Nobody talked about him. Why can't I think of his name? But let's get a pick here. Let's get this video over with. Let me before I give the pick, let me guess the time because I have the webcam muted right now or minimized right now. Let's say this is 48 minutes right now. 50. Guess it's better than an hour. Okay, let's get a pick here. Let's go. It'll be close. It'll be extremely close. Should I go with the defense of Notre Dame or should I go with the offense of Michigan? In the big house at night, we all know what happened last time at night that Michigan and Notre Dame happened when they played. Let's go. I think Michigan's ready to take that next step as a program. And no, they were overrated last season coming into the season. I believe that ranking was pretty much compiled just to create better ratings for the Alabama and Michigan game. They weren't definitely not a top 10 team then, but they're getting there now. I'm not sure if they're really a top 10 team right now, but they're definitely took a huge step in the right direction, and they'll take even a bigger step if they can win this game, which I believe they do. I think they're ready. I think they win 31-28 over Notre Dame. So that's it, guys. Please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/SRTR. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's any picks you disagreed with or agreed with. Let me know what your picks are in the comment section below. Have a great day. Roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans to you. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.